Assalamualaikum. On behalf of Ahsan Academy, let me welcome you to a presentation on. This presentation will include the basic concept of the tissue present in the body and types of the basic tissues present in the body and detail of characteristics, types, site and functions of the epithelial tissue will be discussed. The cells and the extracellular matrix are in the body in association with one another in variable proportion to a minimum extent to abundance. So this combination is known as tissues. These tissue in various combination forms the organ. The organ is a specific structure that occupies a specific position in the body, has a specific shape in the body, has a specific function. So tissue is the basic component of those organs. Basic tissues may be of four types: epithelial tissue, connective tissue, muscular tissue, and nervous tissue. So here in this presentation, the epithelial tissue will be discussed in. Epithelial tissue is the layered collection of cells. The cells are very closely opposed and form a cluster of layers. So they usually covers the external and internal surfaces of the body, or they can produce some cells. This is the surface and you see multi-layer cell covering the surface. This is stained part is the lumen and the surface is covered by a single layer of cells. The second type, they may secrete something, produces macromolecules that come out of the cell and functions there in any place. So epithelial tissue, the basic characteristics are the closely packed cells and very little extracellular matrix. These cells form the sheet of a single layer or maybe in the multiple layers. The cells adjacent cells are strongly adherent to each other by some glue substance or some specialized contact. The deeper cell lies on the basal lamella. When the cells are in single layer, all the cell remains on a non-cellular lamella. This is known as basal lamella. When it is thick, it is basement membrane. They doesn't have blood supply, means it is avascular tissue, and deeper cell can proliferate. The superficial cells which come in close to the layer in multiple layers epithelium, they cannot proliferate, but single layer epithelium, though they are in contact with the surface, all the cells can proliferate. The most important characteristics to be the epithelium is closely packed cells with little extracellular matrix in between the cells. Epithelium may be further classified depending on the function of the cells, that is either it is covering or it is producing some macromolecules, that is the glandular epithelium. So covering epithelium and glandular epithelium. You can see the photographs. This is a cluster of cells or this layered cores of cells present in the glandular cells, and this is layers of cells covering the surface. This is a single layer of cell on connective tissue part, and this is the epithelium that covers. So this is covering epithelium. Covering epithelium may be further classified depending on the layers of cells present. It is single layer means simple epithelium, when more than one layer is stratified. Single layer of cells forming the sheet, and here the two or more layers of cells forming the sheet. So you can see single layer of cells on the connective tissue. This is simple epithelium. 3D diagram shows like this, and this is multiple cells. You can see a line, that is the basal cells. Basal lamella is there. Here is the three-dimensional view. Simple epithelium is further classified depending on the shape of the cells. Adjacent cells are similar in shape in case of epithelium. So this may be simple squamous, simple cuboidal, simple columnar, and pseudo stratified. You see, simple squamous epithelium means cells are flat. The nucleus containing part is having a little more cytoplasm, so it's swelled up. Nucleus usually oval, and the direction of the long axis of the nucleus lies along the direction of the cell. You can see this arrow is indicating it's present in the kidney as simple squamous epithelium lining this lumen, this empty space. Endothelium means lining epithelium of the blood vessel. Endocardium means lining epithelium of the heart inner lumen. Mesothelium is the peritoneum, and other serous membranes are lined by simple squamous epithelium. This is mesothelium. Lung alveoli type 1 epithelium is squamous type, simple squamous type of epithelium. Part of the renal tube, this is the thin segment of loop of Henle, contains the simple squamous epithelium. Cuboidal cells means they are square-shaped cells containing nucleus which is rounded and it is centrally placed. This is present on the outer surface of the ovary. As the thyroid follicles are normally lined by simple cuboidal epithelium. Renal tubule, most of the part, this is loop of Henle thin segment, except this one area. Other parts are simple cuboidal. Also, Bowman's capsule has simple squamous. This is a columnar cells. You see the tall in shape, and the nucleus is oval in shape, basally placed. The long axis of the nucleus is directed along the long axis of the cell. You can see the diagram. This is lining epithelium of gastrointestinal tract. Gallbladder is formed of simple columnar epithelium. Pseudo-stratified, you can see the diagram. Cells in single layer, but because of the difference in adjacent cell, the nucleus lies at the different level. So in Stein's area, it seems to be multi-layered cells. It is present in the lining epithelium of the respiratory tract, and lining epithelium of the reproductive tracts are pseudo. Pseudo means false. This is single layer of cells, but on staining it seems to be multi-layer. That's why it is known as pseudo-stratified. Pseudo-stratified epithelium of the respiratory tract needs special mention. You see, this is present in the respiratory tract, and it is typical in nature for the respiratory tract, and that's why it is known as respiratory epithelium. This contains different types of cells with different characteristics and functions. You see, the ciliated columnar cells are the main cell. They have cilia on the apex, and it is helping the mucosa to keep the surface clean. The goblet cells, these are the mucus secreting cells, and they produces mucus that creates a layer that restrict the flow of small dust into the deeper part of the respiratory tract. Clara cells are non-ciliated columnar cells. Their functions are not very clear. And brush cells, these are the columnar cells with microvilli on the apex. They are responsible for absorption of certain chemical substances and water. Undifferentiated cells are small rounded cells, usually found close to the basal lamella under the tall columnar cells umbrella. These are actually the master cells or mother cells who can produce already described 4 cells. The fifth type of cell is argentophyne cells. This is a small cell lying close to the base between the cells, and they are hormone producing endocrine cells. Stratified epithelium means the epithelium that has more than one layers of cell. Depending on the nature of the superficial cells, these can be classified into four types: stratified squamous, stratified cuboidal, stratified columnar, and transitional epithelium. You see, these are the photographs of different types of epithelium. The stratified squamous epithelium is present in the oral cavity and also present as superficial layer skin. It is known as epidermis. The cuboidal and columnar form of stratified epitheliums are present in the larger duct of the gland, like parotid gland. Submandibular salivary glands has a large duct that's lined by stratified cuboidal or sometimes columnar. This is also present as multilayered developing ovarian follicular cells. The fourth type of epithelium is transitional epithelium. It is present only in the urinary tract. These two types of cells need special mention. So now let us discuss this. Stratified squamous epithelium may be of two types depending on the surface nature. The stratified squamous keratinized, stratified squamous non-keratinized. Keratinized epithelium is very thick and the surface cells become very thin and packed with keratin filaments. Superficial cells usually are dead in nature because they don't have a alive nucleus. So here we can get the cells without any nucleus packed with keratin. You can see the superficial part, only the pink color staining is there. Stratified squamous, non-keratinized, is also thick epithelium having gradually flattened superficial cells, but superficial layer has cells with definite nucleus. So the superficial cells are living in nature. They have still alive nucleus. You can see the epithelial cells, the shape is changing from the deeper to superficial. On the left figure, the cells, there is no more nucleus in the superficial layer, but in the right figure, the surface cells also having nucleus. This is transitional epithelium, and you can see the enlarged view. Transitional epithelium having highly elastic in nature and usually have 5 to 6 layers in retracted condition, but if it is stressed, become 3 or around 3 layers of cells. Superficial cells, you can see these are very large, rounded, bulging and umbrella-like. These cells shows very slow turnover. They divide very slowly. Transitional epithelium has special characteristics, that is, it prevents reabsorption. That's why it is present in the urinary tract. Urinary tract has to separate the urine from the blood, and this urine is collected for some time, which contains very concentrated amount of bad elements. So this epithelium prevents reabsorption. How this prevents reabsorption? You see, there are two pathways of leaking. One is between the cells and the second is through the plasma membrane. So between the cell, this leakage is prevented by the presence of a very strong contact. This is known as tight junction, and the leakage through the plasma membrane is prevented by a extra fortified layers. You see, these tight junctions prevent the leakage between the cells, and an extra glycoprotein coat over the plasma membrane created this superficial part of the plasma membrane impermeable to any source of chemical substance. Thank you very much for remaining with the presentation.